What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Crime Center. So, today we're going to watch Judge Raquel West again. So, let's go ahead and get started.
Right, so are you Brandon Lewis Chillo? And is it Chillo or Chalo? Shallow. Mr. Shallow was previously in court, first on probation in two cases, clause numbers 19-32303, excuse me, 19-32403 and 19-32404. Both of those for sexual assault of a child. Those are both 10-year deferred probations.
How did this guy get two of those charges and only get 10 years of probation, bro?
There was a motion to revoke probation filed, and we were previously here. Mr. Shiloh pled true to counts 1 and 2 in both of those motions.
And all he got was 10 years of some probation. That's crazy to see.
Which alleged. All right, so count 1 pled true that he did not successfully complete the sex offender counseling, was terminated from that program. And then count 2, he pled true that he possessed sexually stimulating or oriented material on his phone in violation of the order. I received an updated pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity?
So basically, this dude got two charges for messing with children. They gave him only 10 years for two charges. And then he turns around and he gets kicked out of the sex offender treatment. And you have to be pretty horrible to get kicked out of something like that, I would guess, because they know that you need to be there. And then on his phone, he has more material of more kids.
Opportunity to review that report.
Is that dated January 26th, Your Honor?
It is.
Yes, I've received it as well.
Are there any additions or corrections to that updated report?
No, Your Honor.
No. Right, and then so attached to that also, part of that report was the letter from Julie Ayala, who was the sex offender counselor. That was dated July 25th of 2025 with the specifics of why he was terminated, I believe, from that counseling and treatment program. You can see that as well, correct? All right, Mr. And then there was no agreement for any type of punishment in these cases. And so, Mr. Lewis, you may proceed.
Yes, Judge.
So they don't have a deal for him this time. So I hope this dude really goes to prison where he belongs. I don't understand how this guy didn't see no prison time to begin with, but whatever.
Judge, we are asking that Mr. Chalo be allowed to continue supervision with some amendments to the probation. I know one of the things that even probation recommended or suggested in their report, of course, the cognitive track by itself. We think that will be be very appropriate in this situation. I have had talks with Mr. Shiloh about the violations as well as basically this situation, and he's been very clear to me as far as him understanding how serious they are. But I think that the cognitive track will be able to enhance or basically really enhance that thought process for him. To not minimize any of these situations or requirements from the sex offender program or just probation in general. Understand that it is all very important, or it wouldn't be a requirement of it.
And that is one of the main reasons why these people are allowed to keep doing these types of charges and getting slaps on the wrist, because there's actually people who are willing to defend them in court, knowing deep down that these guys deserve to be in prison, away from the community, away from the children, and they still get up there and say the most craziest things. The judge's face says it all. Like, are you serious? Put him back on probation? It's crazy. I mean, that's their job, right? But you would think that some of these lawyers would have some type of morals and not want to represent people like that.
He's more than willing to comply in situations that led into these violations here. It was still a situation where, given how they happened, for situations, the information on his phone, or the polygraph situation, a lot of that dealt with, communication with him and a loved one of his, and he had to understand that even those type of situations, it has a determining factor. It can be a determining factor dealing with his probation, and after him recognizing that, he knows that, hey, certain things he just can't do. Like, I'm not saying he thought he could do them, but he knows now.
This dude is a grown man. He knows the difference between right and wrong. He knows the difference between if he should be with somebody his age or older or a child. You can't tell me that no.
Just how imperative, following every violation of rule for their sex offender.
One thing I didn't say, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but in addition to those 2 tenure deferreds, the plea agreement on this case was different and kind of a hybrid back when we did this. And there was, in addition to the 2 sexual assault of a child cases, there was also an improper relationship between educator-student case and an online solicitation of a minor. Those 2 cases, he was given 6.5 years in prison. So went and did some amount of time in prison, then got out and on probation. So I can, and Ms. French, I'll give you an opportunity in just a minute, but it doesn't make any sense to me that 90 days in ISF would do more than a 6.5-year sentence in prison to make it clear to Mr. Shallow how serious it was that he got out and followed the rules on probation. That was all gone over when he was given probation. The fact that he got probation, this was a young person who was in middle school.
He just thinks he can do whatever he wants, and that's what I love about this judge. She's gonna be fair, but she's gonna make sure that they get their point across. You don't have any business continuing time after time after time after time to continue messing with kids. What was it, middle school? Really? A grown dude with gray in his hair, old in the face, messing with a middle schooler. Sick, man. He's a predator.
I just don't think arguing for me to leave him on probation is probably where you need to be. It doesn't make it. The browser history, the titles of the things that Mr. Shiloh was looking at all have to do with teen pornography. So clearly, the most important thing is that he follows through with treatment, because he's exactly where he was when we gave him this opportunity back then. And Ms. French, your position?
Yes, Your Honor. Just because it's the way I'm used to doing things, I would ask the court to take judicial notice of both of his pre-sentence investigation reports, since I'll be referring to them.
Sure.
Both. One, the date of the report, January 26, and the first one, May 12th of 2025. And I, just to add to what the court has noted, Mr. Shiloh was placed on probation on May 5th of 2021 in this case. He went 30 months without any notice of a violation that caused an MTRP. But then in January of 25, 7 violations were noted, including a DWI offense. He pled to 5 of those 7 violations: failure to remain in Jefferson County, the new offense, failure to report new arrest, curfew violation, and failure to pay court-assessed fees. That was not even a full year ago, Your Honor.
So he thinks he can just do whatever he wants. Really, that's all it is. He's not reporting stuff. He's not going to report. He's not staying in the county he's supposed to. He's over here doing all this stuff online, looking up weird stuff. He's messing with middle schoolers. He doesn't have any boundaries. He's just a predator. Just look at his face. He's just a sick predator.
He signed, as far as I can see, and I would ask for judicial notice of this as well, that in both of the probation orders in these cases, 1932, 403, and 404, he signed an understanding as to the conditions of his probation. It is this prosecutor's opinion that it was by grace that he received probation in those cases. And yet, less than a year ago, he pled true to 5 of 7 violations. Now he's pled true to both allegations in the MTRP that was filed.
What was the outcome? I'm trying to look back and now see of the motion.
It appears to be...
Was there a motion?
There was a motion filed January 10th of 25, and there was a hearing where he pled true to those violations on March 24th of... I'm sorry.
April 29th.
Correct. And then the MTRP was dated January 26th for a date of sentencing of March 3rd.
So this guy's probably going to end up going to prison. So they said he's been to prison already on charges like that. And it's very apparent that the people in prison didn't know what he was in there for. Otherwise, he would be 100% sure not doing what he's doing because he doesn't want to go back. Well, you can tell he went in there, he lied about his charges, he stayed under the radar, and he did whatever little time, got out, went straight on probation for the same stuff again, and then now here he is again. So I'm hoping people that are locked up right now, maybe somehow they saw one of these videos about him or they recognize him from somewhere, because if they give him a little street justice, I think he might get his act together, because everything else they're trying ain't working.
So what did I do?
It looks as though
That first motion.
on June 24th of 25, there is an order that he enter and successfully complete JCDI and return to the sex offender caseload upon completion. And I believe he was also, and I'll ask Sunday, that when he was also assigned to go to the sex offender treatment program.
He was assigned at the beginning of his probation.
Yeah, that came from the beginning. Okay, thank you. Now I see this. So this is the second motion
Yes, ma'am.
to adjudicate these cases. When does anybody, and Ms. Simon, maybe you do, have the date when Mr. Shallow was released from prison?
Back, like originally,
On the two, so he got 6.5-year sentences on those two, the online and the solicitation and the improper education student one.
22, September of 22.
Okay, so he did roughly a year and a half ish.
So he got a 6.5-year sentence, and then he only did like a year and a half. That's crazy, dude. That's why they don't never learn their lesson. And I guarantee that one little year and a half, he did most of it inside the county jail, and that's why he got away with all that.
3.5 years, from 19 to September 9th. So
No, in actual prison, not in our jail.
prison, yes, I did about a year and a half.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he
So
flew
you
under the
parole,
radar.
so
He
you're
was
on
hiding.
parole now still, or are you off?
I complete parole April 22nd.
So you're still on parole.
You're still on parole, bro.
Okay. God, I'm sorry, Ms. French. I just want to get all that straight. Go ahead.
I noticed in the interview on this latest PSI that it states interview with defendant during a jail visit on January 20th, and I believe that Masonic was at that jail interview.
There was another officer in that place that day.
It says that Mr. Shiloh made statements such as, I learned I need to be more careful and ensure my phone is clear. That is not, I've learned that I need to stay away from websites.
I don't know about anybody else, but while they're saying all this stuff, listing the whole long list of things that he's done and talking about his case right now, the way his face looks, it pisses me off. I just want to punch it. This dude is sick. He doesn't feel remorse for anything he's done. He's going to get out no matter what they give him right now, and he's going to do it again because he's a sick individual. Just look at his face when they're talking about everything. He's not 1 ounce of remorse. The only thing that would help a guy like this is the wood chipper. Feet first.
Such as, I hesitate to even state them on the record, Your Honor, in the report by Julia Ayala. This is 5 years later, from May 5th of 2021. We're almost to 5 years later, and we're here for the same thing. He's been to prison. He's had an opportunity to follow your orders under the adjustment that was made in May of 2025 and following orders in June of 2025, and it just keeps going. I note that under recommendations that Mr. Shiloh remains a risk to the community according to this PSI, and the state would agree. The state does not believe that any GPS monitoring device would prevent what continues 5 years later. Our children are the ones who are at risk because his victims were not adult women, but a 15-year-old child. And it looks as though that's the same kind of pornography that was found on the phone.
Because a woman his age would be able to understand and be aware that he is a POS, he's a nothing, has done nothing in his life, and that he has sick tendencies. So he goes to the younger ones, the ones in middle school, that are easily manipulated, and he can form and shape them into what he wants, and he'll have them do what he wants. He can treat them however he wants because he's an adult, and then that little girl is taken advantage of, doesn't even realize it, and he gets to fulfill his sick little fantasy.
So it's the state's position that his probation should be revoked, and if this is the correct time, it's my first sentencing hearing in your court. The state would ask that these sentences be stacked under Penal Code 3.032A, because these are these adjudications are under 22.011, sexual assault of a child. It doesn't matter if the victim is the same. It doesn't matter if it's in the same criminal episode. That the code allows us to stack these sentences. And I would further state that even though the agreed punishment recommendation was for 10 years deferred and that the sentences would run concurrently, that agreement was based on the fact that, or the idea that he would be successful in his deferred adjudication. Certainly not that he would.
Yeah, I see what the prosecutor's trying to do, but it doesn't work like that. Anybody who has been in trouble and been to court a couple of times, which unfortunately I have, they're not going to be able to do that. They already gave him, they stacked both of those cases and gave him 10 deferred. So all they can do is give him up to 10 years. They can't go back and be like, okay, never mind, now we're going to stack them so that way he has to do 20 years. I wish it worked like that for somebody like him, but it doesn't.
Continue offending in a sexual manner, I think it's safe to say that even if you're looking at pornography involving a child, you are offending against children in that way. And so whatever this court determines is a proper sentence, the state asks that the sentence in these cases be stacked.
My issue with them being stacked is that original plea agreement was for concurrent sentences. And so I think based on that, legally, I'm not real sure that that is something that would be available to the court because it was negotiated at that time. It didn't say concurrent unless certain violations or things like that. But I certainly agree with any of the other issues. Anything else, Mr. Lewis?
Judge, not from me, whenever Mr. Shiloh does want to address the court.
Go ahead, sir.
How are you? I just want to say that I take my probation very seriously, and I also do take responsibility for what was discovered in my phone. I have taken great steps to progress and things I've done since I've been released. I've always been on time, always complied with what was asked of me in probation. I've never missed my sex offender class. I've paid my fees. I've completed my community service. Anything that's been asked of me, I've gone above and beyond to do that.
Not anything.
That's fair. That's right.
Not anything.
Yes,
the most important thing you haven't done.
Yes, ma'am.
The most important thing. And I think, well, let me just stop you to do this.
He's still trying to save his own skin. That's all that it is. He's not sorry for what he did. He doesn't care. He just wants to make sure that he can get on probation. And from what I can see so far, hopefully she's not going to allow that. Oh, what happened?
That you have not taken advantage of what treatment you should have gotten to this point, and puts, in my opinion, every young person and girl in our community at risk.
Come on,
You're 40-something years old at this time. You were 37 when you had sex with a 15-year-old and did all of this. It's not like this is you're 17 and they're 14 kind of thing. This is true, in my opinion, predator on young girls.
Yeah, you're a predator.
And so for that reason, at this time, I'm going to find that you entered your pleas of true in each of your cases freely and voluntarily. In cause number 19-32403, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of sexual assault of a child. Sentence you to a term of 20 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 19-32404, also find at this time sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and find you guilty of sexual assault of a child. Sentence you to a term of 20 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will also receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. These cases will run concurrently, if I could.
Okay, so he got 2 20-year sentences, but because the original thing was concurrent, they're going to run together. So basically, he's just going to do 20 years, which 20 years is a lot more than I thought he was going to end up getting. This judge is the GOAT. We need to put sick people like this away because they don't need to be on our streets anymore. And everybody else who does things like him, I hope they get caught, and I hope they go to jail just like that. And then they go to prison, and then they face the thousands and thousands of fathers in there who don't like people like him. Thank you for coming and watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps me out so much. And the notification bell so you can be notified, one of the first ones to get notified when a new video comes out. Thank you. Like always, until next time, stay tuned.